It's good to be here with all of you this morning. And although I know summer break is over and some of us are lamenting that, I'm sure there is lots of fun things ahead for us in this fall season. Well, welcome home. Words that are colorfully written on posters placed strategically in the lobby as we walk into a senior living facility. It's intended to make folks feel that they have arrived, that you need not look any further. Many folks in the throes of making a change in their living arrangements are greeted with those words. Yet, down deep inside, the unanswered question could be, is this truly home? Or is it just another marketing technique? Or is it a true description of how the residents truly feel? Is it? And can it be truly home-like? And are there people that are really welcoming? Simply saying the words welcome home does not necessarily make it so. The spirit and attitude of the residents and the staff are what makes folks truly feel at home. And the same can be said for a community of believers. Whether we are meeting in the Lord's house or in another place for fellowship and study, we are talking about a community coming together as one. The churches have spent a lot of money and a lot of time doing their best to make a church a welcoming place to be. There have been classes on how to make the building welcoming, like the signs on the walls directing people to where the sanctuary is, where the restrooms are, where the office is. We maintain the church building so that it shows the outside world that the members care about the building and have a holy respect for whom the building represents. The people inside the church wants their building to communicate to the community so that they would understand that they want to be a part of that community that they live in. And they want the community to feel welcome and understand that the church desires that there would be a connection between them and the community. So ministries and programs are developed that invite the community to come in and experience what the church is all about. Come and see who we are. I think most churches understand the importance of why the church building and the ministries that come out of that church need to be presented in such a way that the people will feel invited and be drawn to enter in and find out more. So it's important to have the building be welcoming and accessible, but it takes more. The building can't shake a hand or offer a smile or offer that personal touch. If the welcoming stops when someone walks through the door because a quick survey is made on the outer appearance, then no matter how large or colorful the welcome home sign is, there is a problem. Addressing the church, James asks this question: brothers and sisters, do you get more excited and pay more attention to the visitor that's dressed in a tailored suit with an expensive watch on their wrist? Or someone who is wearing modest clothing, perhaps slightly worn, whose hair isn't combed just right, and perhaps missed a shower that day? Are we thinking that the man in the tailored suit is a better fit for our church? He could certainly help the church budget, right? And so we better make him feel at home, really welcome, Let's show him the front seat, while the other guest is directed to the back row, where he'll be less noticed. James is calling the church to examine their motive. Most of the time, the issues of whether a church is considered welcoming is not because of the building or the ministries the church offers. The problems arise when we focus on an outward appearance of those who come inside of our buildings. In this morning's scripture, James, Jesus' brother, is teaching on favoritism, or on making one person feel more special than another based on how they look, what they're wearing. Are they kept or unkept? Now, we all have opinions about people, places, and things, and they're based on our own likes and dislikes. For instance, in the 1956 version of the movie The Ten Commandments, Charlton Heston played the part of Moses. Now, I thought he was great. I still think he is great. I have watched the other movies with other actors playing the same part, and I just could not bring myself to like the movie as well. Now, the story is the same, but for me, someone else in that role just isn't right. I know it's silly. I know Charlton Heston isn't the real Moses. And I know the story that's being told is the same, but I'll admit I am prejudiced. I understand that all of us have favorite things. Things like the type of music that we listen to, our flavor of ice cream, movies, and people. We have our favorite friends. We enjoy being with them, and that's a good thing. Our favorite holidays, foods, places for vacation. Our middle daughter had the middle child syndrome. I'm sure some of you might have experienced that too. You know, the syndrome where every time she got mad at me, upset with me over something, I would hear her say, "You love my sisters more than you love me." Well, that wasn't true, and it isn't true today. But I can tell you that in those times, I liked her sisters better than I liked her. We are all different. We have different thoughts and different sense of humor. And so it is natural that we are drawn to people who fit our personalities, people we can relate to, joke with, work together to share the good news of the gospel. Yet, to be truly welcoming, we must find a way to set aside our natural instinct, to draw into the people that we feel we are more like, yet to follow Jesus' example of welcoming. We must try to find something that we can build on with those who we don't understand as well. In the autobiography of Mahatma Gandhi, written before his death, he wrote that during his days as a student, he read the Gospels from the Christian Bible. He believed that in the teachings of Jesus, he could find the solution to the caste system that divided the people of India. He decided to attend a nearby church, talk with the minister about becoming a Christian. And when he entered the sanctuary, the usher refused to seat him. Instead, he suggested that he go back to his own people of the Hindu faith. Gandhi, disappointed at his experience, concluded that Christianity was not a religion that he could agree with. Because if Christians weren't really peaceful people and played favoritism and have caste differences, then he might as well stay Hindu. 1 Samuel 16:7, the Lord does not look at the things that man looks at. Man looks at the outward appearance, but the Lord looks at the heart. James began by saying, as believers in our glorious Lord Jesus Christ, we must not show favoritism. How can we profess our faith in Jesus and at the same time value one person over another? All have sacred worth in the family of God. James gave an example of what he meant by saying the first guest came in wearing gold rings and nice clothes, and because of how he looked, he was given the best seat in the house. The second man, shabbily dressed, was treated rudely and told to either sit on the floor or to stand. Now, I know that today no one would be asked to sit on the floor or to stand, but in other ways, we may do the same thing. Does anyone offer to sit next to the person just in case they need to have questions about the service, about what's going on? Are they invited to stay for refreshments after the service? And do we make sure that they are not sitting alone? Or would we rather give them a plate to go? Dave and I have experienced both types of churches. We have been welcomed warmly and made to feel like they were happy we were there. And we have been in churches where no one said hello to us except to say good morning when they handed us the bulletin as we walked in. Many years ago, and it's been many, I needed a blouse, a white blouse. And I wanted something a little bit elegant because it was for a party that we were going to. So I went to the store in the mall called The Vogue. As some of you may remember. No longer there. And for those of you who do remember, you know about how old I am. Now, I'm not one who puts on my Sunday best to go shopping. I just never have. I'm not comfortable doing that. But I always make sure that I'm clean and presentable and my hair is combed. And I knew that I could afford the blouse that I was looking for. But evidently, the sales clerk didn't agree with me. It was obvious to me and to the friend that was with me that she did not think I belonged in that store. Needless to say, I did not purchase a blouse. But to this day, I remember how hurt and angry I was. After all, who did she think she was? She worked in the store as a clerk. She didn't own the store. It's a terrible feeling when someone makes a judgment and decides by nothing more than the way that you look that you do not belong. James reminds us that we should not judge another based on outward appearance. We should look beyond the outer to the whole person, getting to know them because we know that what lies beyond the surface is deeper than what we see on the outside. Having said this, I too have to clarify that does not mean that we are to be careless. Wisdom, God gives us wisdom. It is a gift, and we need to use that wisdom. Yes, we are to be welcoming. Yes, we are supposed to make judgments, but we live in a fallen world. And so we must, for safety's sake, also have healthy boundaries. Having healthy boundaries should not keep us from seeking ways to welcome a stranger, the seeker, the least, the last, the lost, but simply to use the wisdom that God gives us. Matthew 10:40 says, "Anyone who welcomes you welcomes me, and anyone who welcomes me welcomes the one who sent me. Whoever welcomes a prophet as a prophet will receive a prophet's reward. And whoever welcomes a righteous person as a righteous person will receive a righteous person's reward. And if anyone gives even a cup of water to one of these little ones who is my disciple, truly I tell you, that person will certainly not lose their reward. In this scripture, Jesus is ready to send the disciples out to preach the message that the kingdom of heaven is near. And Jesus knows that the disciples will encounter difficult situations. So Jesus is speaking to all who will listen to be hospitable to those who come in his name. Jesus' message was to all who would provide hospitality and show kindness to God's people. And he says they will be greatly blessed if they do so. Have you stopped to think about what keeps you coming to your church? What is it that you love about your church? Now, there are many different reasons that brought you to this church, but what keeps you here? I believe that the things that keep us in a church is that in that place, real and tangible ways, we experience God. We build relationships, and we become part of a family that encourages us and cares for us when we are going through difficult times. A family that holds each other accountable when we are not living the way that is consistent with our faith. A family that celebrates success with one another. We share Christ's love with each other, experiencing genuine hospitality. As much as the church is about serving one another, it should be even more about serving the world in Jesus' name. If we are really being hospitable and welcoming the way that Jesus teaches us to be, then we must extend our hospitality beyond the walls of the church building. We must reach out beyond our doors and strive to build relationships with those that we don't know yet. All Christians everywhere make up the family of God. So, if we post a sign, perhaps it should read, "Welcome to the family of God." John Wesley, he practiced radical hospitality. He preached to thousands on the roadsides and open fields. He taught coal miners, field laborers, factory workers, the underclass, the poorest of the poor, those who were all but forgotten. He invited them into the family of God. He nurtured them and instilled a strong sense of belonging as he organized societies and classes for mutual accountability. The people he touched were radically changed. There has to be a place where people know that they are welcome, that they are loved and respected, wanted and needed. And that place must be the church. Jesus calls us to welcome others and to practice hospitality, but he knows we, the people, are easily misled and lost. You see, we need fellow believers to help us stay focused on the one who will never mislead us. Titus chapter 3, verses 3 and 5. At one time we too were foolish, disobedient, deceived, and enslaved by all kinds of passions and pleasures. He saved us, not because of righteous things that we had done, but because of his mercy. The beeping is my diabetic tester going off. Sorry. It never respects me. We are called to welcome all seekers, to help them understand that we are all sinners saved by grace, to help them understand the one and the only way to become unlost is a personal relationship with Jesus Christ. When someone walks into a church, not sure of how they will be greeted or what will happen next, think of how they feel when one of God's people shows kindness and eases the anxiety that they may be feeling. Think about how Jesus came into the world, not as a king, but as the son of a carpenter born in a stable. The announcement of his birth was made by the angels to the shepherds first, and on the ladder of class, they were the bottom rung. These were the people Jesus wanted to welcome first, the least and the last, to let them know that they too had sacred worth. The smell of sheep on their clothing would not keep them out of the family of God. They needed to know that they were valued and that they were welcomed and that God had not forgotten them. When Christ-centeredness is the rule rather than the exception, then kindness becomes the order of the day. Amen.